All right, so a lot of you guys clicked on my thumbnail, drinking the Kool-Aid. Now, what does that all mean, you guys? Well, I did a little research as well as I want to share with you. Drinking the Kool-Aid, it's more of a metaphor. And some of you, I don't know if you're old enough to remember back in 1978, Jim Jones, Guyana, they call it the massacre, right? Where it was a cult and he had a lot of membership, a huge audience of people that followed his belief system. You guys can look it up on Google, Jim Jones, Georgetown. It was in Guyana. Guyana is a small country that borders Venezuela, Brazil, as well as the Atlantic, Suriname as well. And Jim Jones was an American. He's from America, and most of his followers were from America. And they all drank this somewhat of a Kool-Aid, which was laced with a poison, a cyanide of some kind. And apparently about 900 people passed on. So that's quite a bit of people, you guys. So why am I mentioning this? Because what I found is that a lot of people out there are drinking a lot of Kool-Aid. Now, I did a detailed research and wanted to read off a couple of things here for you guys so you guys can understand more about what's going on. Because, hey, I formed a community here. I want you guys to be self-aware and mindful of realities out there. You know, my reality is when I get up in the morning and you step outside, you breathe the fresh air, you see what's going on. It's not what I see on TV or what I'm watching on YouTube. Now, this probably particularly applies to a lot of guys that subscribe to this whole red pill ideology. And on that thumbnail too, you can see there's on the watermark there in the background, there's two hands, the blue and the red, right? So that red pill, that originates from the Matrix movie. It's nothing brand new of anything. Some of these old schools, a lot of these older guys, probably the same age as I am, that hopped onto the whole YouTube platform thing, talking about dating and being self-aware. You got to be very, very careful with these fellows, you guys, because generally this information is coming from, as I mentioned before, from very bitter, inexperienced older guys that spit out a little bit of truth, but most of it is trash because it divides most of you guys and it puts most of you guys having bitter feelings towards women. Now, I'm going to read off a couple of things here that I researched. And here you go. So the red pill ideology often associated with certain online communities, particularly those focusing on men's rights or anti-feminist sentiments, can indeed have manipulative elements. And that's what I've mentioned to you guys so much. You can't get carried away with this stuff. You know, red pill, generally, what did it mean? It originates from that movie, The Matrix, right? So you guys can look that up if you're not familiar with that movie. And it's all about being mindful and self-aware. If you want to be self-aware, awaken to your environment. You know, what is truly going on around you. It's not what you see on the media. It's not what you hear on YouTube. It's about being self-aware and mindful. You know, what is truly out there. And here, let me scroll down here a little bit. And it says, while some aspects of these communities may offer some support or discussion for men facing genuine challenges such as mental health issues, societal expectations, or family court biases, the ideology can be manipulative in several concerning ways. Misinformation and misinterpretation. Okay, I always mention that to you guys. So always remember that. So be careful what you subscribing to. A lot of these dudes that have these channels, it's, you know, I do watch them to see what they're sharing. And as I mentioned to you, these are scared, cowardly individuals, the majority of them. And what they are portraying is someone that they're not, you know, as if they've had so much experience in life and they're sharing. No, they're just bitter men that don't understand women, that didn't date enough women to understand that this behavior or women's behavior is not anything anti. It's nothing that's against them, but they are playing totally the victim role. And then they're definitely sharing that with you much younger guys that you're catching on, because, you know, they do share with you and subscribe to some stuff that is important, like I would say, bettering yourself. Yeah, that's all good. So they bait you in with that, and then they create this bitterness about women, and they are playing the victim role as well because, women are the manipulative creatures, so they're the victim, and women are just so manipulative, okay? But I want you guys to get this because it creates, and it pits male-female dynamics against each other. And that's the whole point. I don't like that, and I see right through the whole nonsense out there. And too many guys are taking it too far, too deep into the nonsense out there. Women are women, as I mentioned, and the more you go out and you interact, the more you'll understand the opposite sex. And I think the last 3 generations are probably particularly vulnerable to these older guys. As I mentioned, they do spit out, they do share some truth about, bettering yourself. That's all very important, becoming the best version, but be very careful on what they're echoing here, you guys. And, it's all about, too, they tend to want to dehumanize women. And I'll read this off to you, too, which I found interesting. Some extreme cases, the red pill ideology can be divisive. And what have I mentioned in other videos? Now, this is just a little bit of research that I did. So I want you guys to be self-aware. You can Google this, too, as well, and dig deep and ask Google different questions and twist your questions around so that you get the proper answers out there. And the divisiveness out there, it's pretty unfortunate because I'll read you this last one here. It's essential to approach any ideology or community with critical thinking and skepticism. And what have I said that to you guys before? I mentioned always that, you have to have critical thinking out there. Just don't be gullible. And I know there's so many young people out there that are looking for information, particularly on dating seems to be so popular. The dating, interaction with opposite sex for you females as well. Don't absorb, don't take too much, any of this information seriously that you hear out there. What's important is what you see out there on a daily basis. You go out there, you interact, you meet people. As you meet people, you learn how to interact with the opposite sex, same sex, whatever. You practice, you polish. As I mentioned, you have to be consistent and dedicated. You got to go out there, network, meet people. I want you guys to understand that. It's so important to just live life. What do I always say? Live life. Become the best version of yourself. Don't fool yourself. Don't have trickery on yourself. And be careful on what you are hearing out there or reading out there. Always approach it with critical thinking and look at if there's some sort of agenda behind it, because a lot of this information out there, there's, you get about 70% some truth depending on what you're listening, who you're listening to, and the rest is nonsense. And just human beings are human beings. Males are males, females are females. It's the people that don't subscribe to this nonsense are the ones that are cashing in and actually living life. Don't play the victim role, gentlemen. Go out there and interact. Women are women and men are men. What it's important is to just understand where each one of them comes from, what's important to each one at different transitions of their life, and have fun. You want stories to tell at the end of the day, and that's what it's all about. So hopefully I got through with this message to you guys. Hope all is well, and until the next one, we'll catch you later. Take care.